Hello everyone. This is Adrian again. I'm going to be creating the week 6 video. Seems like Josh is a little busy. And so, without ado, uh, the order I'll be covering is first the overall summary of the matches. I won't be able to pull up the standings as of week 6 because the document has already been updated with the standings for the entire league, unfortunately. But we can still look at some of the matches. Then I'll go through the free agent picks. This was the last week for them. And finally, we'll analyze our game of the week. Okay, first of all, brief summary of the matches. We had Kyra versus Adrian. Pretty convincing victory for Kyra. We had Boo versus Blurg. Pretty close game, though Boo managed to win in the end. We had Ray versus Childish Android. Another very convincing victory from Ray. We had Broken Motor versus Crimson Flash. This was an auto win for Broken Motor because Crimson Flash couldn't play. We had Namu versus Squigs. This is the match we'll be analyzing. And what many thought was an upset victory for Squigs. It seemed like he was pretty close on the verge of losing, but he managed to pull it out in the end. We also had Random 256 versus B747. Pretty solid victory for Random 256. And also Mr. Banana Thief versus Wise Guy was fairly close, although Mr. Banana Thief, I think, also pulled off somewhat of an upset victory. And finally, Litwixen could not play this match, so he forfeited. So for the free agent picks, let's see. Yeah, first we have Adrian. He drops Flygon and Celesteela for Hippowdon and Vaporeon. After he realizes that Flygon is not very good, pretty mediocre, and he also wasn't very satisfied with Celesteela and its rather sometimes slow style of play. And he decides to add Hippowdon and Vaporeon, two excellent defensive Pokemon. Essentially, Hippowdon being an electric resist. Let's see. Okay, Mr. Banana Thief also drops Rubami for Delmise. I guess he realized Rubami was also a little underwhelming. Most of the time, it just sets up screens, but often its damage output can be underwhelming. Although I'm not sure we get to see Delmise this season, but it's an interesting pick. What else do we have? Also, Namu drops Mienshao and Persian for Trapinch. Interesting choice. Although Trapinch probably won't see much play either. Kyra says, let's see. I'm not sure if this is a joke or not. It seems Diggersby is always on. Yeah. Oh no, she was suggesting to Blurk to drop them. Anyways, I think those are all the free agent picks. They're pretty much solidified at this point. So now, let's maybe we'll reset this. We'll look at the match of the week. Unfortunately, yeah, I don't have the teams right next to each other, but we can still look at it. Maybe we can pull up the rosters instead. Oh, this thing is freezing. Alright, I'll just look at it from here. So we have Squigs, first of all. He has a pretty strong draft, two very fast threatening attackers with Dragapult and Lopunny. Something Namu definitely has to keep in mind. In addition, Mamoswine is also very powerful, still with priority Ice Shard. There are also several flexible options in Slurpuff. Can run Belly Drum or can sometimes run a Misty Explosion Endeavor. Sticky Web, Nidoking, also a pretty big threat with its sheer force boosted moves. And then on the defensive side, we have Wheezing, Ferrothorn, and Primarina. On the other side, Namu, he also has threatening attackers, especially with his Zygarde, as well as the combination of Ninetales and Arctozolt, with Arctozolt benefiting from Slush Rush, and Ninetales setting up the Hail. Also Darmanitan, a strong physical attacker. He also has good defensive Pokemon with Clefable, Corviknight, and Slowbro, and Goodra as well. So it seems Squigs actually might not bring the Lopunny in this case. These are good physical tanks checks with Corviknight and Slowbro that Lopunny might not be able to break through. In addition, on Namu's side, the Zygarde is probably pretty threatened because a good number of Squigs Bonds have ice coverage. The Nidoking with Ice Beam, Mamoswine, of course, with ice moves, and even Primarina can run something like can run Ice Beam, and Dragapult could threaten it with a fast Draco Meteor. So you might not bring Zygarde in this case. In addition, the Arctozolt may struggle a bit with the two ground types with Mamoswine and Nidoking, although it has ice coverage, which can help it to some extent. So we'll see what these two end up bringing. In the actual game, we see from Squigs, no Lopunny, I guess. Corviknight and probably the Slowbro will do a pretty good job of mostly taking its hits. It does bring a good array of special attackers. Namu's probably have as many special checks and especially defensive mons. He does have Clefable, but we'll see how Squeak can deal with that. We see a Dragapult and Nidoking, very strong special attackers, as well as the Mamoswine. Very powerful, things like Priority Ice Shard, although in this case, it seems like I'm not sure how much he will do in this case. Namu's side, as I predicted, he drops the Zygarde, and he brings many of his defensive Pokemon, Clefable, Corviknight, Slowbro, and even Grimmsnarl. I'm not sure what that's doing here, maybe setting up screens. But he also has some offense in Darmanitan and to some extent with Goodra. So let's see how this plays out. Okay, so first turn, let's play this out. Very surprising. So Mamoswine, is revealed probably to be more of a utility set with leftovers instead of something like Choice Band or Life Orb. It's setting up the Stealth Rock, and he was fine with letting it get scalded. Again, probably showing that it's not only focused on offense. He's using it to a large extent as a Stealth Rock user. So he doesn't mind taking that much damage. And then he switches in Dragapult. Pretty safe switch into Scald. It's probably a special Dragapult. Can threaten with like a Shadow Ball, which will probably do a lot to the Slowbro. Slowbro hitting its lower special defense. We'll see how this plays out. Okay, so it turns out Namu. I'll play that again. He decides to just protect on his Slowbro, scout out the move. Especially since his Dragapult is probably choice specs, so it's going to be locked into the move. And it seems like Squeak is actually just going for the fast U-turn, pivoting it out and maybe sending in something else that can threaten this Slowbro. So again, the Corviknight comes in. It's probably revealed to be physically defensive with a Rocky Helmet. And Dragapult, it's good switching into U-turn. Dragapult can't do much to it, and Dragapult in return takes some damage from the Rocky Helmet. And then Squigs wisely sends out Primarina, probably a little bit more threatening to the Corviknight, being a special attacker, and we'll see what this Primarina is running. Okay, so yeah, the Corviknight goes Protect, probably to scout out the moves, but Squigs now goes for a substitute and reveals that this Primarina is leftover. So this likely is going to be a substitute, bulky set with leftovers. Probably going to run some boosting moves, probably maybe something like Calm Mind, and then it'll try to become more of an offensive threat. So we'll see how Namu tries to deal with this Primarina. Just have good defensive, especially defensive options in the Clefable and Gudra. So we'll see, if those come out. So as predicted, this Premier is starting boosting with Calm Mind, and the Corviknight just pivots out into the especially defensive Clefable. So we'll see how well this Clefable can take these boosted moves from Primarina. Clefable is pretty specially defensive, although this Primarina is already has one Calm Mind boost up. Okay, so I guess we give some more information now. This Clefable, a little surprisingly, is running Thunderbolt. Not the most common move on it. Usually, its main attacking move is Moonblast, and often it'll be running some utility moves. Although Thunderbolt is a good coverage option, and it does pay off in this case. Applying some pressure to the Primarina. Otherwise, it could sweep, or it could get more boost up and potentially sweep. And this Primarina now just goes for the Hyper Voice. It doesn't do that much. So this Clefable is very specially defensive. Even it only took 35% even after one boost. And Hyper Voice is actually going to be boosted a lot. With this Primarina is probably a Liquid Voice. So Hyper Voice is I want to look exactly what it does, but I think it actually boosts the move power. Let's see. Okay, it actually doesn't boost the move's power, but it changes it to a water type. So this is base 90 power water stab. So that's very strong. Maybe not as strong as Moonblast, but it does hit most things for at least neutral coverage, as opposed to Moonblast, which it might also have. So goes for another Hyper Voice, where the Clefable can just heal off with a Soft Boil. Hyper Voice is not doing too much, and eventually, this Primarina is probably going to have to worry about taking a Thunderbolt, which it won't appreciate, even with its special defense boost. So maybe Squigs probably wants to find another way to break through this Clefable. He's something like the Nidoking, and threaten it with a powerful Sheer Force boosted Poison move, like Sludge Wave. So we'll see, if it decides to make the switch. As predicted, the Nidoking comes in, a bit more threatening to the Clefable. It was completely immune to Thunderbolt, and Namu decides to just go for some more healing with Wish, seeing that the Primarina can't, outright KO the Clefable yet. So now we see a Thunderbolt from the Nidoking. This is actually very important. Squig's probably predicting a Corviknight switch in. It could take most of Nidoking's other moves, such as Earth Power, Sludge Wave, or Ice Beam, pretty well. So Thunderbolt is his best way of pressuring the Corviknight. That's actually pretty important, because otherwise Corviknight could be a very good answer to this Nidoking. But now this Nidoking, we see it has coverage to hit all of Namu's team super effectively. So we'll see how Squiggs wants to play towards this Nidoking. It's probably one of his main offensive threats, along with the Dragapult too. So he switches out into a Weezing. This Gudra, probably very specially defensive. If you look at its base stats, I think it's something like 150 special defense. Nidoking's not going to be able to break through it by itself yet, and he also wants to scout for the moves. It is carrying Ice Beam. Nidoking would not appreciate that. So he brings out the Galarian Weezing, probably can take the Ice Beam better, and maybe threaten with something like a Strange Steam. Just chip the Goodra a little bit. Oh, and we get, the first unfortunate RNG of this game. The Goodra freezes the Weezing with Ice Beam. The Weezing otherwise could have taken it pretty well. It probably fired off something like, fired off a Strange Steam in return, which would do a chip at least the Goodra for a sizable amount, nothing else, meaning that's very weak. But he gets the freeze on the Ice Beam, so this Weezing is probably not going to be able to do very much for this match. It's very unfortunate for Squigs. It's one of the things that could really threaten this Goodra, which might be able to take Nidoking's attacks comfortably if it was pretty healthy. So we'll see this, Weezing probably going to be sacrificed. It's unlikely to thaw out. Okay, this is an interesting switch in. Switch into Mamoswine. I mean, the Mamoswine is already pretty damaged, so probably not too bad to lose at this point. It's probably more of a utility set with Stealth Rock leftovers. Although I probably myself would just been fine with just letting the Weezing itself be KO'd from an Ice Beam. It's already frozen. But maybe this Mamoswine hopes to get some chip on this Goodra, maybe or something like an Ice Shard, before it goes down. Predicted the Ice Shard from the Mamoswine, but not doing much to the Slowbro. And then he'll just sacrifice this Weezing. It's already frozen, not doing much. So now, I guess Squeaks decides to go to the second part of the strategy, bring out the Slurpuff, and setting up Sticky Web. It's a pretty important form of speed control, especially checking. Will be a way to slow down this Darmanitan, which otherwise could be very fast, outspeed many of the things, especially the Nidoking, I think, which would be undersped by the Darmanitan. So the Sticky Web is pretty important. However, Namu still has the Corviknight. It's pretty healthy. Doesn't seem very threatened at this point, and it can come in very safely and just defog these hazards. So we'll see how Squeaks tries to control the hazards in this game. And again, the Mega Slowbro, pretty good physical wall, pretty safe switch-in. Maybe not much the Slurpuff can do to it. So predicted Corviknight's coming in. Probably, to defog these hazards. And so we see the Endeavor. So this is probably, going to be a Sticky Web Endeavor, maybe Misty Explosion. So a Suicide leads Slurpuff. Main purpose is to set up hazards and then do a bit of damage on its way out. So this is an Endeavor, actually. Might work out very well for Squigs if he can get this Corviknight at very low HP, so one of his other Pokemon can finish it afterwards. However, Endeavor has low PP, only 8 PP, and the Corviknight has Rocky Helmet. So every time it's using Endeavor, it's going to lose HP. On the one hand, that's good maybe, because that means Slurpuff will be at lower HP, so the Corviknight will be brought down to very low HP when the Slurpuff uses Endeavor again. However, if the Slurpuff uses Endeavor too many times, it will be knocked out by Rocky Helmet chip. So we'll see how Namu tries to predict. Namu and Squigs try to predict each other's moves. Squigs wants to get the Endeavor off on the Corviknight and hopefully not have the Corviknight roost off that damage. So seeing the Slurpuff just PP stalling, waiting for the Corviknight to roost. So Sticky Web just burning those PP. Corviknight roosts off the damage, and then he Endeavors again, getting more chip. Getting more chip from the Rocky Helmet, but that means the Endeavor is actually becoming stronger. Now the Corviknight, defogs the hazards. Slurpuff, Sticky Web again, pretty important entry hazard. Corviknight roosts off the damage, so we'll see. Next Endeavor will bring the Slurpuff down. So Squigs needs to predict, yeah, if this Corviknight's just going to roost off all the damage from Endeavor, or he's going to go for something else. He doesn't want to Endeavor just to have the Corviknight roost off all the damage. So I guess prediction is very, very key at this point. It's probably very mind-boggling for both players. So again, yeah, just stalling out the roosts. Doesn't want to Endeavor into a roost. Yeah, Sticky Web again, roost. Waiting for Namu, I guess, to be impatient and go for something like a U-turn. So yeah, the Endeavor knocks out the Slurp. And finally, yeah, Namu does maybe maybe fall for the bait this time, becoming a little impatient, going for the U-turn off the Endeavor. If he just roosted, probably would have been a very good position. But I guess he didn't want to waste all his roosts. He had already roosted so many times, so he finally decides to go for a U-turn. But that ended up not paying off for him, because that means he ends up with all the damage from Endeavor and he can't heal it off. And this Corviknight will probably be finished off by one of his Squeak's other attackers. So yeah, the Dragapult comes in, pretty free Shadow Ball, just KO the Corviknight. Whatever else comes in now is going to have to respect hazards. The Grimmsnarl comes in, pretty good wall to the Dragapult. So yeah, reveals Trick on the Grimmsnarl, good utility move, the Prankster Trick, giving one of Squig's Pokemon a Lagging Tail, slowing it down, and in turn stealing the leftovers from Mamoswine. So this is actually pretty good from Squigs. If he had switched in something like Nidoking or Primarina, they would not have wanted to have received the Lagging Tail, especially Nidoking, right? Nidoking wants to move first, sweep, and so he wisely switches into the Mamoswine, which is already pretty chipped and doesn't really care about getting the Lagging Tail, because it's mostly a utility set we've seen, and it's also has priority Ice Shard. So so pretty good switching. So the Ice Shard, chip the Grimmsnarl a bit, and it goes down to Spirit Breaks. But he's fine with losing the Mamoswine. So switches in the Primarina, probably hopefully to pressure the Grimmsnarl out. The Grimmsnarl probably doesn't want to take Moonblast from Primarina. And again, Namu brings in Clefable, which we've seen can take on Primarina pretty well. So I guess interestingly, Squigs again goes for the substitute. The substitute strategy, but the Hyper Voice not doing very much, and the Thunderbolt, hitting the Clefable. Hitting the Clefable. Interestingly, the Hyper Voice only did 32%, and it did around the same amount even with the Calm Mind boost. So this is actually probably a unaware Clefable. So it's going to ignore the boost from Calm Mind Primarina. So that's an interesting pick from Namu, and it's paying off. It's a very good good answer to the Primarina. Even with a Calm Mind, it's not going to be able to really break through this Clefable. So Squigs wildly switches into the Nidoking, which can threaten the Clefable much more with its sheer force boosted Sludge Wave. And Clefable goes for a Wish for some healing. And the Sludge Wave going into the Goodra, but not doing too much. Goodra is very especially tanky, and the Wish comes true for Goodra. So maybe now, Primarina comes in again. Primarina is probably better against Goodra if it's carrying a Moonblast. It can also, Primarina also has very good special bulk. Can take most of Goodra's moves probably pretty well. Doesn't mind an Ice Beam. It's immune to Draco. So this Primarina maybe has a chance to once again set up. The Ice Beam not very effective. So interestingly, the Primarina is carrying Ice Beam, not Moonblast. Though it does do a sizable chunk to the Goodra after the crit, around half. The Goodra surprisingly has Sludge Bomb, so this Primarina is not very safe against this Goodra after all. Likely this Primarina had Ice Beam to hit the Zygarde that Namu brings quite often. It can be an offensive threat, although he did not bring it this time. The Sludge Bomb doing a lot to Primarina. And I have to say, it's a little worrisome for Squeaks now. This Primarina, one of his main special attackers, is very chipped. He might not be able to hang on much longer. And Dragapult and Nidoking, I don't know how much, they can break through by themselves, especially with the presence of Grimmsnarl and especially defensive Clefable and even a pretty healthy Goodra on his team. So we'll see. And even worse, it gets the poison. So yeah, Primarina definitely not staying on very longer. Yeah, Primarina goes for another Ice Beam, and he gets the freeze. So I guess the unlucky RNG coming against Namu now. Actually very big because it's Clefable. Otherwise, it's a very good answer to Nidoking. I mean to Dragapult, and to lesser extent Nidoking. Although it doesn't really want to take a Sludge Wave. Yeah, but with this freeze now, Clefable is probably useless for the rest of the match, and probably going to be KO at some point. So, seems like a little bit more hope for Squigs now with that lucky freeze. Nidoking maybe now has a chance to really break through again. And even worse, the Clefable is not going to be able to go for the Wish passing, which would have been really helpful for Goodra, which is around at half HP. So this Primarina is probably going down. The Nidoking threatening the Clefable. Now Nidoking really just has to go for the correct coverage moves, and so that knocks out the Slowbro. Now facing up the Goodra, I guess he will sacrifices the Primarina Goodra. And he's probably not wanting to send in the Nidoking yet. The Nidoking is probably his win condition at this point. He probably needed to take out the other remaining Mons on Namu's side. So this Dragapult can definitely threaten this Goodra with the probably Specs Draco Meteor. So we'll see how Namu deals with it. He does have a Clefable. It's frozen unfortunately, so it can't. So it could switch into Draco, but it's not going to be doing very much by itself. We also have the Grim. Could probably switch into a Draco and then threaten the Dragapult with something like a Spirit Break. So for Namu, if he can control this Dragapult, he is probably Grimmsnarl is a good switch in. Then Squigs will only have the Nidoking left, and it'll be difficult for Squigs to win. So the Goodra actually goes for Protect. It gets scouting out the moves. The Draco, was expected, trying to bring out the Goodra. Then brings out Nidoking. Actually, a pretty good switch in. The Draco into Clefable would not have been good. Dragapult probably would have been locked into it, and then the Clefable would have more time to thaw. So actually, this Nidoking, while you're predicting the Clef switching is good. Now can threaten a Sludge Wave, which will probably do a lot to this Clefable. Actually, the Earth Power, I guess, predicting something like the Darmanitan switching. One way Namu could still pull it out is if it's Darmanitan, let's say it's Choice Scarf, then you can switch in, then outspeed the Nidoking and then go something like an Earthquake. Go for an Earthquake, KO the Nidoking, and then Squigs really can't win with just a Dragapult. I guess the Earth Power, is a pretty safe move, especially with a frozen Clefable. Now the Ice Beam just picks off the Clefable, maybe predicting a Goodra switching. This Goodra still very bulky, but since it couldn't get the Wish pass to it, it's probably going to be worn down. It takes 50 from the Ice Beam, which is a testament to the power of Sheer Force Nidoking. And it fires off an Ice Beam by itself, but the Nidoking hangs on. So things are looking pretty close now. The main question is, can Namu just get his Darmanitan in safely? Is it going to outspeed even after the web and potentially threaten an Earthquake on this Nidoking, which will probably KO? And at that point, Namu probably will win because the Nidoking is the main threat. The Dragapult can't do much to the Grimmsnarl in the back. Oh no! And then Squigs calls it correctly. The Earth Power into Darmanitan. So I think Squigs actually pulled off this one. Namu probably needed to get a free switch into the Darmanitan, let the Goodra get KO'd, and hope that the Darmanitan outspeeds. Hopefully it was Scarf. If it was Scarf, then it could threaten an Earthquake, take out the Nidoking. But now that Squigs called the switching correctly with the Earth Power, I think he just wins now. Maybe Nama was hoping for another Ice Beam, which wouldn't do much to the Darmanitan hand, but Squigs called it correctly. So yeah, I think the rest, you'll see this Nidoking probably just pull off, yeah, the win. So Sludge Wave doing a lot to the Grim, but helped by the light screen. One thing Namu could have done is probably trick the leftovers to the Nidoking, since it's a Prankster Grimmsnarl. The Nidoking probably is holding a Life Orb to increase its damage output, so by giving it a leftovers, you're reducing its damage outputs, and hopefully, you'd have to pray at this point, but hopefully the Goodra, could take a move from Nidoking, though it's unlikely that Goodra could also deal with the Dragapult as well. So, yeah, I think at this point, Squig is probably winning. Yeah, losing the Darmanitan was the last straw. Sludge takes out Grimmsnarl, and then the Goodra will just probably KO at this point from an Ice Beam. Yeah. It's a pretty good game, interesting game. Some of a upset victory from Squigs, yeah. Point with some very surprising picks, especially the Endeavor Slurpup helping to bring down the Corviknight, and then the Nidoking just wall breaking in the end with its excellent coverage, boosted by sheer force. Namu also, played very well. He a good defensive core with especially the Clefable Corviknight, but Squigs managed to find some unorthodox path to victory. So good games to both players, and that'll be it for this week.